This episode was brought to you by Surfshark.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome back to the 2020 Moisties Awards. This year we spared no expense when it came to production. This is our biggest production yet in the entire decorated history of the Moisties. We have never gone this hard before. This year we said we're popping our mouths off mama's titties and we're getting wild when it comes to the show we want to put on. Yesterday you saw our picks for the 3 worst movies of 2020. You're probably asking yourself, did any fucking good movies come out this year? And I know you're asking that question because I asked myself that same question because I couldn't think of any. I couldn't think of an answer to that question. Did any good movies come out this year? And then it hit me. Eureka! This year has lasted like an entire decade. Movies I thought came out multiple years ago actually only came out a few months back. So yes, indeed, there were a few movies that came out this year that were good. They weren't all super stinky shitters from Disney, because they really overwhelmed us with bad movies this year. There was actually a few good ones. And again, like I mentioned in yesterday's Moisties, we're only doing 3 instead of 5 this year because 2020 was so fucked with the movie releases. So there really is probably only 3 good movies that have come out all year, and they're on this list, baby. Just real quick before I cannonball into the deep end of this swimming pool of cinema, I need to say I know Tenet came out this year and I've heard great things about the movie, especially from Jackson, but I didn't see it because it went to movie theaters and I just wasn't going to risk going to the movie theater during the pandemic, not in this area. But I'm sure it's a great movie, but since I didn't see it, it's not on the list, just a heads up. So kicking it off at number 3, The Gentlemen. This movie shares its name with the iconic band The Gentlemen, a band that I am happy to be a part of with my boy Troy. We even have a new song coming out this month called I Am Truth. All in all, this film was just a joy to sit through. It had a star-studded cast and they all played very interesting characters. All of them were pretty well written for the most part, and I actually thought the writing was pretty solid. There was a lot of talk about dick, and when I'm hearing penis talk on the big screen in the cinema, I've got a smile on my face, and you definitely get your fill of wiener talks and just references to wieners, so definitely hats off to the writing department there for that one. And overall, I just found the narrative to be enjoyable. I found myself invested in the story and the universe. There were some shortcomings, but it's 2020. This movie basically looks like a fucking masterpiece in comparison to all the other dog shit that came out this year. I just think it was good. Mix of action, mix of good writing, and good characters. I enjoyed it. Moving on to our number 2 spot, taking home the silver medal at this Olympics of cinema, we have The Invisible Man. One of the last movies I was able to wiggle my ass cheeks into a movie theater chair for before movie theaters went extinct, God rest their soul. Invisible Man really caught me off guard, probably one of the biggest surprises I've ever had going to a movie theater, because the trailer made this thing look absolutely abominable. I expected to go in here and laugh at it or take a nap during it, but it was actually really good. I feel bad for the movie though because someone puked out a terrible trailer and probably killed a lot of interest for the movie for a lot of people. I don't know who did that. They must have hired someone who only specialized in making YouTube tutorials in 2008 using Notepad and 009 sound system. And I'm not trying to tell this company how to do their business, but I would highly recommend not using that person to make your movie trailers going forward. Honestly, you should have just called me up. I made a RuneScape music video in 2006 to the song Dwarf Invasion, and that music video probably would have done a better job of selling your movie, The Invisible Man, than the trailer that guy made for The Invisible Man. It was that bad, it really was. The movie is great though. The movie has a lot more emotion in it, and that's really thanks to the performance from Elizabeth Moss. She really delivers an incredible performance throughout the entire movie, and it's a very heavy message that the movie sends to begin with. It's very heavy subject material, and I really respect how they tackled the theme in such a creative way and made it just such an enjoyable thriller movie. It's this constant battle between Elizabeth Moss and everyone else around her to convince them that this terrible person from her past really is still there. He's just invisible. And she knows that he's there, but no one else seems to believe her. She's going crazy, and then it's this battle between her, this actual invisible person, and then everyone else. And that's not a spoiler because the trailer tells you that there's actually an invisible man there. It's not like this psychological battle that they play on the viewer. It would be cool if that was the case, where the viewers have left to decide, is there really an invisible man or is it all in her head? But the trailer, of course, spoils you on that, so you already know going in there is an invisible person present in the movie. It's just really good, though. Even knowing that, it doesn't ruin it. It doesn't dampen any of the twists and turns the movie takes. It's able to deliver still a very very high-octane, thrilling experience, and just a movie that you can get invested in. The Invisible Man was the biggest surprise of the year and one of the best, which is why it's here at number 2. And finally, we move on to the moment you've all been waiting for all year long. A moment that's more important than your own birth. You look forward to the Moisties more than your own birthday, and we know it. So who is taking home the number 1 spot and walking away with the prestigious honor of being picked number 1 for the Moisties? That movie is 1917. I bet the majority of you didn't even remember that this movie came out this year, because most of you probably thought it was a 2019 release, but I double-checked. The movie came out in January, so we're good, baby. We're fucking good. 1917 is an easy sweep at the Moisties this year, especially considering the lackluster competition. 1917 was an actual innovative movie, making it seem like the entire thing was filmed in one cut, where obviously there is cuts, but it's filmed to be a one-take movie. And it is a genuine masterpiece in a war film, I believe. Yes, there is some flaws and some shortcomings. The narrative isn't super strong, neither are some of the characters, and there's some silly things that do happen, but the movie actually did what very few movies even attempt to do. It tried something new. It tried to innovate and be a pioneer, and I think in that respect it did succeed. It is a technical marvel. What they were able to achieve with 1917 is extraordinarily impressive. It is a war movie that is filmed as if you're basically a fucking soldier in the movie. It really does come across that way. You follow along 2 soldiers on their adventure and their journey to the other side of the battlefield to deliver important information. You see bloody battles along the way, terrible shit unfold in front of your eyes, and it all feels like it's all done in one take. And it's fucking cool, alright? I enjoyed it. Yes, the 2 characters are kind of stiff when it comes to how they're written. You don't really know anything about the characters. They're kind of blank slates, but it doesn't matter. You can still get invested in their journey, and it is still an emotional journey full of peril and disaster. And I really fucking liked the movie. There's plenty of things that I'm sure you could pick apart about it, but one thing that I think everyone can agree on is that it's a movie that tries to innovate, and I do think it succeeds. I don't think one-take movies like this are going to be commonplace by any means. I imagine this was an extremely difficult undertaking, but the product, I think it paid off. It is a wonderful movie that I think will be viewed as one of the classic war movies ever made. I genuinely feel that way. Absolutely loved 1917. Loved it. Absolutely deserves number 1 on the Moisties for 2020. Even if there were good movies that came out, more than the ones I can count on one hand, I still think 1917 would have been a hard movie to beat. It's just that good. So that wraps up the 2020 Moisties. That's the best and worst movies of the year. Hope you all agreed with our picks, and if you didn't, just know that you're wrong. And yeah, thanks for tuning in to the Moisties. The last gift that you want this holiday season is a breach of privacy. That is probably the last thing on your wish list this year, so that's why I always recommend a quality VPN like Surfshark. Surfshark allows you to explore the online cyberspace safely without the need to worry about ads or tracking, malware, or phishing attempts thanks to clean web that Surfshark offers. It also hides your IP, so you're never at risk for getting any kind of, security breach. And if you'd like, you can even whitelist certain places so that way they're not subject to the VPN, which helps with things like mobile banking. It's just Surfshark has tons of tools to make exploring the modern internet safer, and you don't have to worry as much about your privacy being breached. So if you're interested in trying Surfshark, you can go to surfshark.deals/penguin and get 84% off a 2-year plan plus 4 extra months for free. That's surfshark.deals/penguin, 84% off 2-year plan and 4 bonus months. That's it. See ya.